Look, it's a flood.
It's a flood.
It's flooding.
Get away.
Quick, we need to get to higher ground.
Open the floodgates.
So, you know how everybody is like, everybody's listening to everything you're saying all the time?
You mean when it comes to, like, the devices and
Yeah.
the internet of everything?
Yeah, so, I think DoorDash...
Is that what it's called? Yeah,
I think DoorDash has heard me tell the I got shot at joke so many times, because it's now asking me multiple times a day, did you feel safe on this delivery?
Do you feel safe? Do you guys feel safe right now?
Is it safe?
You should feel safe, because you are here.
Is it safe?
And
Okay, this has been bothering me for fucking years.
your weekly safe
What
space.
episode of Courage the Cowardly Dog was it where the guy constantly goes, is it safe? Because I've been trying to find it, and every single time I just get, return the slab.
That is like the most popular episode of Courage the Cowardly Dog, although I will die on the hill that the most fucked up episode of Courage the Cowardly Dog is when Uncle Fred traps that nigga in the bathroom and tries to shave his hair, because that episode is clearly about molestation. It's not funny. It's not funny.
There's also, the episode I remember was, I think cats made like this giant wandering tower that shot cannonballs of sadness into people.
Oh yeah, I mean, okay, right, like that episode, once again, Courage the Cowardly Dog is obviously not meant for children. There's no way that you can go back and rewatch that show and go, oh yeah, no, this is meant for like 12-year-olds.
This is fine.
There's the
This is fine.
Kitty and Bunny, the episode about the fucking cat that is clearly a fucking prostitute running from her pimp with her lesbian lover.
That computer was sassy as fuck.
But no, the episode where Fred traps this nigga in the bathroom for an entire episode is so, like, it's burned into my mind. It's such a fucked up episode, bro. It's a fucked up thing. Courage the Cowardly Dog was mad. Like, just mad. Just mad. I can't even put it any other way. Like, they had to have been on, like, ayahuasca and shrooms and just Benadryl tripping the entire time. Like, the Hat Man had to have been in that writer's room for the fucking... for that show.
But what episode is it is it safe? And they just keep saying it to this one guy.
I told you, I don't remember.
And he gets driven insane.
I do
you know
not
what?
remember.
Like,
You're
you've
gonna
seen
drive
this
me.
episode, though,
You're
right?
gonna drive... Probably. I've seen, like, I think all of them. Did you know there was a Scooby-Doo crossover?
I did not, actually.
Absolutely, because why wouldn't there have been? Yeah, no, there was a Scooby-Doo crossover.
That means now that
I've even seen the Scooby-Doo
Courage
crossover.
is canon with Supernatural. And Batman.
I am kind of mad that neither one of the shows ran long enough to be crossed over together. Like, can we start a fan petition to get a Courage the Cowardly Dog and Supernatural crossover? Because why not? Why not? Why not? There's already so many unasked for things happening. Mike Tyson and Jake Paul are gonna fight.
Now, the question, I feel like you probably should do they cross between universes when they're in the real life world. Courage just makes sounds.
No.
And Dean and Sam don't understand him at all.
No. I need this to be all Courage the Cowardly Dog animated. I need Dean and Sam to somehow be transported to nowhere. And
Which is probably a part of hell.
I mean,
They've already been to hell.
That's right, exactly. So the portal to hell opens back up, but it actually just takes them to nowhere. And they have to deal with Eustace for a whole 30 minutes, right? Right? Come on. Dean, Sam, and Eustace going at it like the fucking Three Stooges. I need that. And if you need that, then the need is rising up and crashing through. This is Doc
And Ziggy.
and we are
The Flood.
Welcome back to your favorite weekly pop culture digest that may or may not have been on a break for a week or two, where we took the time to look at some pop culture with our perspective,
Put culture in context.
and make the mainstream
Make sense. Because if we do not make sense, we don't make dollars. Holla.
but we do make Zig frustrated, and I know we all love when that happens. He definitely hates it when I twist the intro in all kinds of odd ways.
No, but I'm really concerned, like that's weird. Why does it's asked me, like, dropping off food. It's Suburban Park across from the high school. Did you feel safe?
Do you guys feel safe? Once again, welcome to your safe space. If you feel safe, feel free to donate to us at the Patreon, at the Flood Pod. That's at the Flood Pod on everything.
And that's on everything.
Literally
and a shout
everything.
out to our patrons, Enraged Peacock, and
actually could be you. If you
oh, I like that!
at the Patreon on everything.
That's a good one!
And that's on everything. Oh, man. And we've got some good things to talk to you about this week, and some not so good things. I mean,
Do you want to start? You want me to list off the good or the bad first?
I mean, we've been gone for a little while.
How about
so
I do a weave? I'll do a good, a bad, a good, a bad, a good, a bad. We'll start off with the good. X-Men 97 season finale. The bad. Diddy.
How do you follow X-Men up with Diddy? That's crazy. Are we back in 1998?
Well, if we're going to the good things,
No, it's
we
97.
have the conference finals finally locked up, ready to go for this week. And if we're going to the bad, the portal. I'm sure you all have heard about it.
Oh, yeah. All right. Hot Boys announcing a new album. That's, the Hot Boys, Juvenile, Turk, BG, Wayne. We'll talk about all that, though.
Tyrese continues to be the most hilarious person on the planet.
The downfall of DJ Akademiks.
In Israel.
And a whole lot of other shit. But, off top, how we like to keep it funky and scanning the algorithm to see what you guys have been really grooving into this week.
And this week's hit on the algorithm is... I just want to say that the number one hit is still Not Like Us. And number 3 is Euphoria. And number 6 is Like That. But this week's specific hit on the algorithm is...
a bar song, Shaboozey. And listen, if you follow me on Instagram, I tried to put y'all on to Shaboozey a while ago. He's also a DMV native, so shout out to Shaboozey. Pour it up, we try and get tipsy, right? And it's, it's got the Chingy references. I was just blasting Chingy before we got started for, getting the hype and everything like that. Going back to we'll call that Bling era, right? That was like Bling era time. Oh, man, listen. But the fact that Kendrick is still dominating the Billboard charts right now is just proof that if you
Everything is normal!
If you really thought that Drake was winning this, you can't
Like That's been number 1 for like what?
How do
now
you deny those
3
metrics?
weeks?
Yeah, how do you deny those metrics? And it's really not looking any better for your boy Drizzy. Kendrick really just keeps looking like the prophet that he was. Drake tried to claim that whole master manipulator narrative. He tried to flip it and was like, but I am the master manipulator that you think I am. And your boy DJ Akademiks pretty much just exposed on live stream that they don't know where Kendrick got the whole Drake has a daughter information from. They're all scrambling. It might even, so it's kind of looking like Kendrick exposed the daughter that Drake didn't even know about. It's like,
that would be wild!
You got an 11-year-old out there, and Drake was like, wait,
what?
I got an 11-year-old out there? Fuck, Adonis, you didn't know about this? Yo. And now Akademiks
And Adonis is like, I don't know, but I'm supposed to feel sorry that you're my father.
He over there, like, stand in the corner, dear Drake.
Man, like,
I hope when you
at this
find that
point,
letter-
Drake's gonna have to buy Adonis a fucking Dave & Buster's.
I hope when you look at my mom, you really treat her better.
I don't know how, from a court of public opinion, Drake really comes back from
What's
this.
the over-under on Adonis doing a stand?
What do you mean?
kidnapping Kendrick Lamar and driving off a bridge with it. No. That would be crazy. I'm sorry. Okay, checking back.
That would be like Phil Spector killed 2 people level of what the fuck.
I can't accept what you did to my dad, yo. Now everybody thinks he's a pedophile. He won't even hug me because he's afraid people will call him a pedo. No, it's not looking good for Drake.
Well, I mean, at this point, it's like, if you have kids, you have children, you must be a pedo.
Fam, speaking of not looking good. Man, we really, alright, let's just get the elephant in the room out of the way. The egregiously ugly, absolutely in your face elephant in the room that was the hotel footage of the Diddy Cassie altercation. And
that's actually not where I thought you were gonna go, because there's a lot of elephants in this room apparently.
You can't even really call that an altercation. That was just a monstrous display of abuse.
That was a fatality.
I don't even really feel comfortable making jokes about it. I've seen lots of people handle it in a way with brevity, but like
it was brutal. And for me to call it a fatality is a very much biting my tongue while it's against my cheek situation, because it was brutal, like a fatality.
I legitimately hope and pray to anybody that may have been, triggered by that tape, who is a survivor that just happened to be on the internet that day, because it was fucking everywhere.
Yeah.
And here's what I want to talk about. I really don't necessarily want to talk about the tape because there's not a whole lot to say. That shit is disgusting. It's vile. And Diddy is absolutely done at this point, right? Like, there's the apology video that he posted today that we were recording this, so will be like a week old by the time that you actually hear this. It does not, there's no way you can apologize for that.
When Stephen A. Smith says your career is over, your career is over.
Nigga, nobody has to say his career is over. That is like what Ray Rice did times fucking 1,000.
Yeah.
It is disgusting. It is disgusting. There is no coming back from that. Only time can forgive that nigga.
Like, all right,
and I know we talk about retribution all the time and people being allowed to have, but like with all the shit that Diddy has going on right now, I mean, legitimately on the bottom level of this, no pun intended, like kids who haven't even seen the Cassie tape yet still know about the Meek Mill audio, right? Like, so it's like at the least, Diddy has to live with sexual predator allegations, right? On top of proven physical abuse allegations, right? And then you have the human trafficking allegations on top of all of that.
The internet did make everyone remember J. Cole actually hit this motherfucker.
And let's not forget the icing or the cherry on top of all of this is we're all pretty much convinced that Diddy got Tupac killed.
Yeah.
Which inadvertently got Biggie killed.
Yeah.
So it's not looking good for your mans. But what I really aside from all of that, what I really want to discuss is, dear internet, did we really have to blast that shit everywhere? Oh my god. This is the same internet that is like, believe all women, right? Survivors matter, right? Should be ashamed. I'm going Bernie Mac with this shit right now. America, internet. It was absolutely unfucking necessary for every news outlet to post that fucking 15 to 30 seconds, whatever the fuck it was. It was like, what, for me personally, and I'm sure there are survivors who will feel what I'm about to say. It was like the George Floyd tape all over again. Bro, how could you not look at Diddy running down the fucking hallway in a towel? Like some kind of fucking
You want to know what made it...
perverted psychopath.
You know what made it unbelievable for me? I was like, this looks like something that would be in a movie. And that's what made it unbelievable, because it fucking really happened.
Bro, this nigga is in a fucking towel, hunting her down like the fucking T-1000. Or, I'm sorry. I probably, whatever the fuck it was. Right? No, but like, seriously. And then the way he catches her at the elevator, it's disgusting. And when I say every 4 to 5 scrolls on Instagram was the fucking footage. That's insane. Y'all wrong for that. Y'all are absolutely wrong for that, and I'm surprised nobody else has said it to this point, and we are like, you know, an underground podcast, so it will probably go unfucking noticed.
You want to know what's wild? The Diddy tape got circulated like crazy, but not the guy who lit himself on fire outside of the embassy.
That's why I said it's like George Floyd, dude. It is like the George Floyd tape. Remember, like, when that shit happened, you could not go anywhere on Twitter. Like, it was everywhere. It was fucking everywhere. And if you are a victim or a survivor, like, you just had to log off that day. You literally had to log off earlier this week, and probably for like a good 2 to 3 days, and I'm sorry for anybody that had to fucking deal with that shit. I've been thinking about that shit a lot, because the third time I fucking saw it, I was like, oh my god, does everybody need to be posting this shit? It made me think about like the days before our Zoomer generation, right? Like post 9/11, like post smartphones, who just had to live through like cable shit. The last time some shit like that happened was fucking 9/11. That's the only time I could remember, like, you going somewhere and like everything was like playing that one thing. Can you imagine pre-internet seeing Diddy whooping Cassie's ass like that on fucking cable TV? No, you wouldn't. It would have gotten fucking blurred out when he caught up to her in the fucking elevator. There's no way they would have played that shit on VH1 or fucking CNN, who leaked the fucking footage. Cool. Whatever. The footage had to be leaked, I guess.
Can I give a strange round circle, full circle moment?
I mean, go ahead, fam. I just hope we hear me when I say. And
I'm gonna let you cook right after this, but I want to say on 9/11, when I got home, I went into my mom's bedroom, I turned on the TV, and I saw the towers exploding, and then I changed the channel to Courage the Cowardly Dog, and that's the last thing I remember.
Wild how everything comes full circle. And it's wild how, you know, Diddy thought he was going to do that fucking apology, and you know what? Here on The Flood, we like to play devil's advocate, and I will go ahead and say that
I am the White Devil.
Diddy looked at that footage because he couldn't escape it, right? Because it was everywhere, and was like, wow, I did that. I'll give him that. Because how the fuck could you not? How the fuck could you not watch yourself whooping that woman ass like that and not be disgusted, knowing you got daughters, knowing you got a fucking mother, right?
Yep.
You got female friends, and I don't care if this nigga, like, we can leave the whole pimping shit aside, right? Like, because I don't think that what Diddy is doing is the fucking Epstein level trafficking that everybody talking about he doing, right? Like, now they say that there are substantial underage rumors, and based on the way 90s niggas used to talk in them songs, I can believe they might got some 16-year-olds on the payroll. We not, like, I don't even want to go into all that. There's no way you can watch that fucking tape and not feel like a fucking monster. Cause you are, nigga. And you gotta live with that shit. And I know they say that there's footage of a Vlad interview that went viral this week of the game talking about how the reason why him and Drake linked up to do 100 was because Drake went out to the West Coast, and rumors have it, allegedly, according to this interview, that Diddy had put a fucking hit out on this nigga Drake. After they got into it over Started From the Bottom, because I don't know if you remember, but Started From the Bottom is allegedly a beat that Drake stole from Diddy when Diddy gave it to him to get some writing done, right? Like, Diddy wanted a couple of reference tracks from Drake for the beat, and Drake was like, this beat kind of fire. And that's why Drake got smacked the fuck up, right? Unlike J. Cole.
Why did J. Cole hit Diddy? By the way, J. Cole fucking hit Diddy.
Because Diddy hit J. Cole over some shit, right? I don't even know what that had to do with, right? There are rumors that Diddy is the one who put the fucking car bomb in Kid Cudi's car.
Yep. Yep.
So, it looks like Escaping Diddy on Tubi might be, or is it the downfall? I don't know. Tubi got it.
It's a TMZ exclusive that they pumped out real fast.
Tubi got the sauce. You talking about retribution and like coming back? Like, Drake got a much easier time coming back from that shit.
Remember, the Cassie case was settled in 1 day.
Yeah, because Diddy didn't want, and apparently they paid $50,000 to get that footage, and rumor has it, allegedly, the reason it got leaked is because Diddy's 2 houses got raided. They got a hold of the footage. Somebody saw that shit and was like, oh nah, this shit gotta go to the press.
It's like the Draymond Green, Jordan Poole punch. That was a closed practice. Somebody from inside the Warriors leaked that video.
I just feel like that,
I'm not comparing Draymond Green to Diddy.
That, I feel like, is a pretty big cultural moment, because it will shift a entire historical narrative for one of the biggest cultural movements to happen in this country for a really long time. Yeah, bro. Like, literally, Diddy is one of the biggest faces. He might arguably, if we're not talking about, like, skill and we're talking about cultural impact, Diddy would have and could have gone on hip-hop Mount Rushmore, right? Like,
speaking of, Snoop found me today. I was in the liquor store, and anytime you go into a goddamn liquor store at this point, you see Snoop's face on a bottle of 19 Crimes.
Actually, Diddy might have more in common with the niggas on Mount Rushmore now than he ever did at any point.
The ones that are on the real Mount Rushmore.
Yes, that's what I'm saying.
Not Teddy, though. Teddy is a gangster.
Keeping it music, DJ Akademiks found himself in some hot water this week after blaming Meek Mill for Drake's loss against the Kendrick Lamar, yes, because he is the Kendrick Lamar at this point, right? Kenny said, no, I have the #1 headband now, yeah. And arguably, who could argue with that?
There is no big three. It's just Big Me.
There were rumors, though, that Kendrick may have bit a couple of his bars from battle rappers, but they were insubstantial, and I'm almost certain that was, the OVO camp at work. But
can I give a real quick, like, hip hop being acknowledged in pop culture before we go into DJ Akademiks, because I want to start on a high note before we go into trash?
Go for it.
So, Marvel has released the first Doctor Doom comic since MF Doom's passing.
Yeah,
and on the first page it says, "Living on borrowed time, the clock ticks faster."
Yo, respect to the Doom. Hey, but no.
Remember,
respect.
all caps when you spell the man's name.
No respect to. Oh man, I totally forgot what DJ Akademiks' real name is. It's like Livingston something. Somebody on X, somebody on Twitter said that this nigga has a butler name. It's great.
I saw one where it was like, instead of a tweet, it's a Z, and I'm actually kind of here for that
because of the X.
Yeah.
DJ Akademiks recently found himself resurfacing attention to the rape allegations that he had facing him in 2016. I think it was. Was it 2016?
I don't know. It's been a bop, but like you said before, we think we've covered this before.
Yeah. So longtime listeners might be familiar with this story.
This is catching more spotlight because of the Drake Kendrick beef and Akademiks being the
inserting
mediary.
himself into it like the mediary, right?
Pause.
No,
like Drake.
The way he's been gobbling Drake's meat, this shit has been coming. Pause.
No Diddy.
Yeah, no, it's isn't it ironic that the man who reveled in the revelations, no alliteration,
Revelation, no alliteration. That's a bar.
No alliteration intended. Of Kendrick being a wife abuser, has also been on camera, like, attacking women, and is now having his rape case brought up again because, and he went dark on Instagram a couple of days ago.
Just for clarification, it was a civil case, not a criminal case. I mean, I think he's a scumbag either way, but just for clarification,
civil rape case still sounds
pretty fucking awful, but
bad, dog. What? Like how? Like what? It's just, you know, it's a classic case of the people who are most vocal about this kind of thing being the ones who are, like, Diddy tried to change his name to Brother Love at one point, right? Like, and it was around 2016 when he was pushing that whole, like, Brother Love narrative.
I mean, Chad Johnson is still to this day Chad Ocho Cinco, so.
I mean, Ocho Cinco is a lot less in your face than, I know I just whooped a woman's ass in a fucking hotel and had to pay $50,000 to get the footage. I'm gonna really get ahead of the whole, like, narrative thing, right? Like,
and name yourself a certified lover boy?
not no. You have an 11-year-old daughter out there. It's crazy.
I do?
It's crazy. It's crazy. In other hip-hop news, Juvenile announced on Instagram the other day that we should all be getting hyped for a reunion. That's right, the Hot Boys are dropping a new album. And if you don't know, now you know. The Hot Boys is Juvenile, Lil Wayne, BG, Turk, aka the origins of that bling bling era shit, right? Like back when Master P was making them say and Birdman and Manny Fresh was still big timers, right? Birdman tried his hands at forming I guess what you could call a hip hop boy band, and that was the Hot Boys, aka Lil Wayne, BG, Juvenile. Except for at the time, Juvenile,
as opposed to a rap group like the Lox or Wu-Tang.
I mean, rap group. Same thing, right? But
I don't think Wu-Tang or the Lox would respond too well if you called them a boy band.
I mean, this is not a
say
boy
that to
band.
Styles P's face.
Boy band ass nigga. No.
He said it, not me, Styles.
Yo, no. The Hot Boys coming out with a new album. No idea as to a release date of yet, but I think this is pretty cool considering Wayne was pretty quiet throughout this whole Drake Kendrick thing, which I found weird, right? Because, you know, Drake was like his protege, but then, you know, with the revelation of Drake potentially, allegedly sleeping with Wayne's girl while he was locked up, you know, maybe Wayne was kind of like, you deserve that shit. You deserve that shit. But yeah, Juvie went live and announced that it's happening. It's, you know, I won't say long overdue. It is long overdue. Long awaited, right? Especially during the whole versus battle. And then when BG got out, I think everybody was, you know, kind of seeing how everybody felt in regards to you know, how they got along and all that. Because Wayne is kind of like the John Lennon of the group. Like, he broke up the group. Like, it became about Lil Wayne.
So he's gonna die first.
And so that's pretty cool. Vince Staples also has...
Who's the least important member? Because they're gonna live the longest.
I'm not trying to throw shade when I say this, but I'm pretty sure the internet's gonna say Turk. I mean, Turk, oddly enough, ironically enough, I believe was like the first member of Cash Money Records, right? It was Turk, then
I'm just here to throw this
BG.
out there that Ringo's not even the best drummer in the Beatles.
I feel like BG would probably be the Ringo of Cash Money Records, because everybody knows who Ringo is, and Ringo has like this weird fan base, but
He's also the ugliest of the Beatles.
memed.
And the drummer.
Vince Staples is dropping his last album on Def Jam Records. The Dark
What are the chances a
Times-
lot of people drop their last albums with Def Jam soon?
The Dark Times, the title of Vince Staples' last project on Def Jam, is scheduled to drop in November, I believe. Let me see. It was on I lied. It's actually set to drop next week. Ha ha. Next Friday.
We're fans of Vince Staples here at The Flood.
I mean,
I think he's hilarious. I've actually seen Vince Staples, kinda sorta. He opened for the Gorillaz, but I don't know why. They had Danny Brown and Vince Staples as openers, but neither one
that fits actually. If
But
you know
here's the
Vince-
weird thing. Danny Brown, his entire backdrop was just all black. So I'm on the lawn. I cannot see Danny Brown. And then Vince Staples
Wow.
was all red.
I don't know why.
So all I could see was his silhouette dancing.
I don't know why that felt vaguely racist. I'm not gonna lie to you. Something about it just felt racist.
I mean, he was on stage with no lights.
Can't see.
And I'm on the lawn. I literally couldn't see him.
Friday, May 24th, and I believe the project features a lot of DJ Mustard production because of the interactions back and forth between Vince and DJ Mustard during the whole Kendrick Lamar and Drake situation. As I stated, his last album on Def Jam. I don't know if that means it's his last album altogether. With the success of the Vince Staples show, if he plans on pursuing other creative avenues, as you know,
I would be fine with that. Like, if Vince Staples showed up as like a performer writer at SNL, I would be fine with that.
or if he plans to do the Kendrick Lamar thing and form his own independent collective, like with the PG Lang, because you know PG Lang isn't just a music label, it is a digital creative.
What kind of movie do you think Vince Staples and Matt and Trey would make?
Vince has a movie where he did some voice acting on Netflix.
But I mean, like, Vince, Matt and Trey making a movie?
MFKZ. And it's actually it's a pretty good movie. It came out in 2018. It is a French-Japanese adult animated science fiction film based on a comic series and a short film of the same name. In Darkmeat City, a young man develops supernatural powers after an otherwise uneventful scooter accident.
And it's sitting at a 6.7 out of 10 on IMDb and a 39% on Rotten Tomatoes.
So, you know, you either hate it or love it.
Rotten Tomatoes is also trash. So
yeah, definitely now. It didn't used to be.
Rotten Tomatoes is it's fucking useless now.
I personally recommend it. If you haven't seen it, it was on Netflix. I don't know if it's still on Netflix. It's a fun little, get high and watch. Let's see what the runtime. Hour and a half. Hour and 34 minutes. If you got an hour and 34 minutes to burn, go ahead and check out MFKZ. Support the guy Vince Staples. I feel like he's doing great work, and he is, looking like J. Cole in this narrative. And J. Cole is looking like an absolute sage right now.
If we're going to be talking about new media releases, I have some news to bring up. According to a release from Rockstar Games,
A
Grand Theft Auto will be available in fall of 2025.
so that's fall of next year.
Yes.
Right? Which sounds
A
reasonable.
little over a year.
If Rockstar, I mean, they already released a trailer, which means they're pretty far into development. And if we are, allowing our developers, our major developers, our AAA developers, to give their staff a reasonable time limit to put out a great game.
I feel like we as a gamer collective have seen enough AAA games rushed out
Yeah.
that we're like,
No Man's Sky.
okay,
Cyberpunk.
take your fucking time.
Yeah.
It's like, let these indie studios, like that's their time to shine.
I feel like indie games are having a pretty big moment right now. I know when I have PS Plus, I pay for the full year out, and I will tell you, I have some pretty big AAA titles on my library right now. But with my real fun with gaming has been playing the indie games, right? Like Skull was a platformer that I played. Zao, right, which is like this, it's kind of got like an African mythology based, and it's another platformer game run on the Unreal Engine that's available for free on the PlayStation Plus. And it's just I feel like that is where I'm at with video games, right? Like, I'm not even like hyped for like the Baldur's Gate, or what's the one Kai Cenat just did the fucking like 100+ hour live stream for. Damn, it's the other RPG that everybody's playing right now.
Not Helldivers, is it?
No. What is up with Helldivers? Because I've been seeing that a lot.
It's like a Destiny shooter, from what I've been hearing.
Oh, Elden Ring.
Yeah.
So he just finished it, and he just beat Elden Ring, right?
Which is a Dark Souls style game.
Yeah. So
beating Elden Ring is a big deal.
Yeah. So, and his chat, his followers have been pretty hype about that.
But I was just making a list of like the AAA games, and I'm thinking like, so if we go for the PlayStation, you have God of War, Elden Ring. I think Elden Ring's a multi-platform. Spider-Man, Final Fantasy. Xbox has Gears of War, Halo, but we also know Xbox has already been basically bowing out of the software and hardware perspective. We'll actually continue on that later with some other news. And then Nintendo has, Nintendo has Zelda, Mario, Pokemon.
Yeah, Nintendo was pretty solid. They've got like the Madden strategy.
Basically, we'll get to this later, but I think
EA strategy going.
I think Nintendo really did big brain this shit in never licensing off their stuff.
I think Xbox, however, though, is pulling another move that I feel like could be successful for them, especially if they're trying to move away from hardware, like we reported on late last year.
They are also closing several gaming studios.
So, though, if you are bored with the AAA titles, then you might find that some of these more independent gaming studios are producing some pretty high-quality content.
Also, you have an entire backlog to go into.
Yeah, especially if you have PS Plus.
Like,
right?
there are certain... Okay, here's a good question for you, and I'm going to give some examples. You think on them while you think on them.
Okay.
Video games that are 10 out of 10, no matter what age when you play them. It could be now or 30 years ago. Games that are always a 10 out of 10. Metal Gear Solid 3, Snake Eater.
Okay.
Castlevania Symphony of the Night.
This nigga is about to just list off all of his favorite games.
Super Metroid. Fallout 3.
Yeah.
Would you say 3 or 4?
3. Most people would probably say New Vegas, though.
I was watching something and a lot of people were trashing New Vegas.
New Vegas is like the cult favorite of Fallout, though. So I find that funny. But go ahead, keep going.
Super Mario World for the Super Nintendo. Pretty much every major grand release console Grand Theft Auto. Just the storylines are great, and I mean the controls. Ever since they released it on the PlayStation 2, controls have always been palatable. The original Doom.
I was gonna say, I feel like you're missing some pretty
Tetris.
good games here. I mean, Tetris is always a good one.
Diablo 2.
Yeah, I was gonna say, you can't leave out Diablo.
Yeah, you're right. No, Diablo 2, definitely.
And then I feel like, there's some... You left out some smash and grab games, right? Some collector games, like Banjo-Kazooie is always fun. Dude, Midnight Club... Right, like I can always play Midnight Club. That's a good racing game.
Yeah, I was about to say, like, there's definitely some racing game. I would say, you know what my favorite arcade game? I played it. I will still play it if I ever see it in an arcade. If I randomly find an arcade, Rush 2049. I'm waiting for somebody to burst through the door and say Super Smash Brothers Melee. So I'm just gonna say that to cover face. Super Smash Brothers Melee, people still play it competitively 20 years later.
Yeah, I mean, Knockout Kings was the boxing game back in the day, right? Like, you had Madden, you had FIFA, right? MLB The Show, right? Which is another one, right? Like,
but those aren't all. Those are franchises that like always constantly get updated. I mean, like a game frozen in time.
Oh, Ready to Rumble, right? Ready to Rumble boxing. That's the one I was looking
NBA
for.
Street.
Yeah. Def Jam, Fight for New York, right? Like, that's another one, too, right? Damn, bro. And that, that reminds me, they did the...
I mean, I'll also go classics and say, like, Ocarina of Time is one that, especially if you get to play it on anything that isn't the god-awful N64 controller.
Dude, fucking Sonic, is it Sonic?
Sonic Adventure Battle 2. Here's one. Wii Sports.
Oh yeah, no, that's totally. The new Sonic game is pretty hype.
We'll say even modern things. God of War Ragnarok.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, no, like games that are constantly, no matter what age or how old the game is, that are like perfect 10 out of 10. Like it's funny. I mentioned 2 Metroid style games with Castlevania Symphony of the Night and Super Metroid. And Super Mario World, all of which are like side-scroller, platformer type games.
Fucking Mario Party 3?
Mario Party 2.
2?
2 is the one with like the cowboy world and the my favorite minigame ever, Shell Shocked, where everybody gets in the little tanks.
Yeah. I mean, come on. There are classics out there.
Once again, even better if you don't have to play on the god-awful N64 controller.
I am super hyped for the new Grand Theft Auto, though. And the return to Florida, it's obviously going to be very Vice City heavy, but just the environment that they set up for everything, it's cool. Let them take their time for it. Fall 2025 is just good enough for me, especially with the new Assassin's Creed dropping. Now, I'm not gonna lie to you, I haven't played an Assassin's Creed game since probably like the first or second game in the series.
I'm not gonna lie to you, I've never played an Assassin's Creed.
Really? So
I've watched my brother play them.
How did you feel? Have you seen the trailer for the new Assassin's Creed Shadows?
No, I haven't. But then again, I look at Assassin's Creed like in the same way I look at pretty much like Madden and Call of Duty. Just like they all kind of blur together at a certain point.
Yeah, and I feel like lots of the fan base was probably feeling the same way you were, especially after Valhalla, I think it was. I didn't hear great reviews on that. Lots of people were complaining that it was too action heavy.
Like the last one I remember like seeing like a friend of mine play was probably Black Flag.
Yeah, and I feel like that's probably when I about tuned out of Assassin's Creed. I'm not gonna lie to you. The controversy behind Shadows, though, seems to be it's
starring the historical figure Yasuke, a black samurai.
And, lots of people are upset
or
about
you get to play
that.
as a Japanese woman.
And then there are people who think that they're pandering because of the woke mob. Now, it's woke mob politics again. We're because we're not getting to play as your traditional Japanese samurai when we're telling this story. And I don't necessarily know how I feel about it, right?
I'm thinking right now, like,
I don't...
What they could have done is almost like a Resident Evil 6 approach.
I don't...
Where they have, like, maybe, like... I can see why straight white men who are insecure would be upset about this.
But that's my point.
Emphasis on the are insecure.
Pass me the Coppola.
But...
No, bro, this is my point. Did y'all think y'all were gonna get to fucking Tom Cruise this? Is that what we're mad about? You guys really thought this was gonna be some Last Samurai shit. And we're mad because a black guy and an Asian woman get the spotlight? This is what I'm talking about.
They literally had one where there was a white dude fighting in the American Revolution. Like, they pandered to y'all already. And they did it first.
Not to mention that, what is it? The one where you're in the Caribbean, Black Flag, you play as a Welsh guy, right? So the only people who should be mad here are fucking Asian people, and not even...
Apparently Asian people are mad.
I was gonna say, and not even because you get to play as a Japanese woman, right? So no, the people who are mad here are incels who don't get to see themselves continue to be the dominant representation in these stories that we tell.
It's like, heaven forbid you play as another character with a different perspective worldview that could potentially open your eyes.
I mean, literally everybody has been so obsessed with the Yasuke story for the last 2 to 3 years.
Yeah.
And we've been begging Assassin's Creed to do a Japanese timeline story because it's so...
Ninjas.
So
because ninjas.
To ninjas, right? And obviously Ghost of Tsushima wasn't enough for people, so, you know, they...
Like, if you think of the word assassin, what do you fucking think of first? Maybe Assassin's Creed, like Altair and Ezio, and ninjas.
I have a hard pill for some of you weebs to swallow. Ninjas aren't even like a real.
Yeah, no, they're really not.
They're like, they were definitely just still samurai who were probably more like the Green Berets than the Marines, right? But the ninja as a concept, not a real thing.
Also, shurikens were never really used as assassin. They were more just distractions.
Ninja wasn't even a word in Japanese.
It was shinobi.
Until the 90s, and shinobi is the closest thing you could find a ninja, and that still don't even mean ninja. So, with that being said, this fantasy video game may have chosen a different direction to take its main characters in.
Also, weebs, I just need to tell you that Japan has the greatest PR department in the world. If you look into history, a lot of the greatest atrocities in human history were committed by Japanese people. Now, am I saying that all Japanese people are responsible for this? Absolutely not. But, historically speaking, the connotation behind Japan now is drastically different than what it was for about 150 years.
I'm not gonna lie to you, bro. I wasn't really, like I said, concerned about Assassin's Creed games beforehand, but the fact that the controversy around this is about what it is has piqued my interest, and we've been playing around with the idea of doing, you know, some gameplay streaming for a while now.
But I feel like
I might fuck around and, you know, do some Assassin's Creed Shadows just because I fuck with the Yasuke storyline and
the funny thing is there's really not much room, like, known about Yasuke, so it gives a lot of creativity.
Exactly. I mean, did you see the Netflix anime? Like, it went all
I watched 15 minutes of that and turned it off. Once it went War of the Worlds, I was like, I'm done.
They went
fucking done.
Full magical realism with that. It's actually pretty good. You should give it a chance, considering all things considering. But speaking of other good shows, we got to talk about some X-Men 97, and we'll do that right after
this break.
Put respect on Whitney Houston for giving inspiration to the fucking greatest cartoon theme song of all time.
I want to be a contrarian and push back on that, but it really might just
How
be...
can you push back on that, nigga? That shit is clearly I'm Your Baby Tonight. If you have ever heard the Whitney Houston song and then you like line it up with the fucking X-Men theme song,
I'm talking about the greatest animated cartoon intro of all time. I'm trying to...
Oh, if it's not X-Men, then it's the Boondocks.
That's another... I was gonna say,
I'm
like...
the stone that the builder refused.
You know which one I'm gonna fight for. Neon Genesis Evangelion.
Oh, get the fuck out of here with that is literally some contrarian art house shit.
It is one of the #1 karaoke songs in Japan, thank you very much.
Oh, okay. Oh, so I'm just being American.
Song does slap!
So I'm just being Amerocentric is what you're saying.
Maybe.
All right.
But
We
let's
are
talk about that
live
heat,
for
the
a
X-Men
reason.
97.
To me, my X-Men.
Welcome back.
Welcome
if you
back.
are tuning into the podcast. Hello there if you are watching us live, and we are live for a reason, and that is because we have to give our reaction to the season finale of
Spoilers!
X-Men 97. Spoilers,
We have to
call
give our live
spoilers?
reaction because the X-Men
call
are
it-
still alive!
Man, look, I haven't seen gripping television like that.
Shit happened since episode 5.
No, I'm talking about the whole series, right? Like, so far, not disappointed at all
Nope.
with the reboot of the X-Men animated series. So much so that the rumors that they might be revamping the Spider-Man animated series, I'm all for it.
All four.
Right,
Spider-Man animated series, I think I preferred over X-Men, I'm not even gonna lie.
In the beginning, right? But the way that they handled X-Men 97, boy, let me tell you, it got, you know, it got some people, it got some panties up in a bunch, right? Because they went very
Homosex.
heavy-handed with the homosex. Very, I mean, look.
No offense, it's just really funny to
If
say.
you couldn't feel the tension between Charles and Magneto, dog, then let me tell you, you're not ready for what one of the writers had to say about Morph and Wolverine.
They
right?
were getting closer and closer while they were in a room filling up with water.
fucking Morph,
Literally a wet dream.
Morph literally told this nigga Wolverine, "I can be what you want me to be." Jean can't say it, but I can. And
You know, Morph does have that advantage.
Does that make Wolverine bisexual? Because Morph is a they them, right? Like Morph is just androgynous, right? So like,
He's not attracted to Morph's mind and soul the way that he is attracted to Jean.
The way that Morph is, because Morph is like, I'm down. How many times do I have to tell you all season? Morph was like, nigga, just say the word, bro. Just say the word. Wolverine was like, boy, get out of here. Boy, stop. No.
I don't know what is going through Scott's head. Like, can you imagine dating a telepath and you have to just constantly think, am I gaslighting myself because she's controlling my mind?
I mean, he called out for Madeline, though. Like, are we gonna let that
Like,
slide?
we even said, like,
we gonna
you know
let that
what?
slide?
Like, Jean, Madeline, why can't you all just be like, all right, Jean, you love Wolverine too. Just you be with Wolverine.
If-
Madeline literally has Scott's son and all of his memory, all of Jean's memories.
Bro, if you thought the wokeism that was X-Men 97 was heavy-handed in the beginning, I mean, tolerance is extinction couldn't be any more in your face. I
For
mean,
3 weeks.
Magneto lived out the full Malcolm X dream. I
The
feel
full
like
Jesus dream.
Yeah, let's go there. He is literally, I mean, the Jesus narrative couldn't have been any more heavy-handed than Magneto lives.
No, I think, all right, yeah. Like that part. You see, but this is where the Jesus narrative gets like really complicated because he's Jewish.
And The Rock
I'm
was,
just kidding.
instead
That's
of,
not what really makes it
instead of
complicated.
moving the boulder from in front of the cave, the boulder was floating in space and he had to stop it from,
The
crashing
boulder
into
was inside his mind. That was blocking his own identity.
That was the flood because this nigga is not only Jesus, he is also Noah, right?
Does that make Professor Xavier God?
No,
it just
makes him
it
Metatron. Are you keeping up?
It makes him the governor of a Milky Trash of a Milky Way ghetto.
That went right over his
Yeah,
head.
it did.
He not hip. He not hip.
No, probably not.
He not hip. No. But if you are hip, thank you for tuning in. No, for
Gambit is still not back.
Gambit's
Makes
not
me think
back.
like, wow, they really might have aced this guy.
Bishop
You're not
is-
hip.
No, Bishop is back.
Ace.
Ace in the cards. Yeah, I get
No, Ace is in One Piece, Luffy's brother, who got his fucking chest punched through.
I like what you tried. You thought. But no.
Our listeners know.
Man, I am really taken aback, bro, because I did not expect the kind of writing that we got, and that's not to discredit the original run of X-Men the Animated
One of the
Series,
lines
right?
that really sticks out with me from X-Men 97 was Beast talking to the reporter, and he goes, "Pardon me, I don't want to waste any more of your tolerance."
Make them weather your mind, make them mind your weather, sister. Like, come on, you couldn't have got any more of a girl. Like, this was Emmy Award, and that is why I'm glad that they nominated
episode 5
for an Emmy, because
which I don't think anybody, like, the finale was great, but episode 5 is by far the most memorable episode.
bro, I'm still not okay.
I can't feel you.
I don't care. Y'all can say what you want. It's a cartoon. You watched that fucking episode. If you've never watched an episode of X-Men the Animated Series, go watch episode 5 of X-Men 97 and tell me that episode didn't leave you shook.
Let me just
Bro,
pause.
that was one of the heaviest moments of TV I have seen in a really long fucking time.
All right, hold on, pause. You were saying, oh, it's a cartoon. How can it make you feel that way? Fry's dog waiting outside of the pizza parlor. Fuck outta here.
The exception proves the rule. Right, the exception proves the rule. But I will say that episode 5 of X-Men 97, what is that? Remember It? Whoo, you gonna remember it. You gonna remember it. That shit hit. That shit hit.
Can you look up real quick what category it was submitted for the Emmys? Was it like best animated episode, single best episode? I wouldn't be shocked if they submitted it for single best episode of a series. I really wouldn't be.
It's predicted to be a strong contender for the Primetime Emmy animated program category. So it's just the animated program category.
Okay, it damn well might just win that.
I mean, I don't see how it couldn't, based on episode 5 alone. Right, like I said, the way they approach...
I mean, do they put anime in that category?
I don't know. The way they approach this revamp, though, the X-Men 97 revamp, I feel like is how a revamp should be done. It paid homage to the original in a way that didn't feel like it was pandering to anybody, despite the controversy around it being like super woke. But
It's been woke the whole time.
if you know X-Men, it's been woke the whole time. When you watch this and then you go back, and hopefully, you know, people are going back and watching the original animated series, right?
It is it is kind of hard to watch nowadays, though. Like, the animation is rough by today's standards.
How can you say that? I get, okay, by today's standards, right? I'm just like, I don't know, right? Because I feel like the animation team back in the 90s probably had more on budget than this animation team did. Or at least, I guess, due to inflation, it's probably comparably the same.
Yeah, no, I would say relative to inflation, this animation team for 97 had less than the original run, but I will say the advancement in technology has now made it cost less to make quality animation than it did back then.
That the writing staff for X-Men 97 definitely had a bigger budget than the original X-Men animated, because, bruh.
Also, shout out to liberal arts educations.
They was dropping they were dropping heavy bars throughout that entire
Why do you think the leader of a country could be a terrorist? Why did they let so many leaders of countries be terrorists?
Fucking Milky Way ghetto, like
that shit.
Come on.
Like that should every human should just be like, wow, fuck you.
X-Men 97 was everything we wanted from like She-Hulk and the Marvels, and Disney and Marvel clearly put their foot in that shit when they were like, okay, we've had a really bad streak up to this point.
You know what?
It wasn't even that hype over
I'm gonna take a turn on this. I don't think they had their foot in it at all. I think they were just like, here's money, do a thing. And then they saw the results and they were like, oh, this is what you did? Oh.
I guess I should have said the writers put their foot in it.
Oh yeah, the writers for sure.
That shit.
But I feel like Disney was just like almost like, all right, here's the cake, and then they came up with this. So
where we're at now, right? The setup, the introduction to Apocalypse. Where do you feel like we're going for here? Because the green light has already been given for season 2. We're already there, right? Like,
actually, from what I heard, they did both seasons concurrently. So like 1 and 2 are done.
Okay, but I mean, we know we're getting a season 2.
Yeah.
Right. So where do you think we're going from here?
So I watched the Comics Explained channel on YouTube. Are you familiar?
Yeah. Oh no, I'm here.
Yeah. So I watched the Comics Explained video on it. And he was saying that it's all about Apocalypse and that them going in the past is like the rise of Apocalypse, and then going in the future is the timeline as a result of Apocalypse coming to power. And then the current timeline is them trying to stop Apocalypse from rising to power.
So it's kind of like a multiverse shortcut
So Cable's gonna be the most important character in the series.
To hamstring a bunch of narratives together.
Cable's probably gonna be the most important character.
Which is probably the most, I guess, the closest way they could have, matched the animated series, right? Because when you go back, if you remember the animated series, right?
Cable shows up a lot.
I don't know how lucky a lot of y'all were, but like, when I was watching the shit, it wasn't like, episode after next episode after next episode. It was like, oh, here's X-Men the animated series, and then 5 episodes later next week, right? So like the
X-Men the animated series followed by Yu-Gi-Oh!
Disjointed.
No, it was Digimon on that network.
Shout out to Fox, what was it? Fox FX Kids or whatever. Yeah. No, great. I'm absolutely 5 out of 5. I definitely recommend the entire series if you've got if you've got some time to binge. Any other notes? Any other takes?
On X-Men 97, well, I think the setting up for Apocalypse is really cool. I think Professor X comes out looking real bad at the end of this season. I think Professor X.
No.
Let's go through the winners and losers. I think one of the losers of the series definitely Professor X.
Can we take a poll? Do y'all think Professor X do y'all think Charles did the right thing? Do y'all think Charles did the right thing?
No, better question. Do you think Rogue did the right thing?
Shout out to Spike Lee. No, Rogue definitely did the right thing. That's not a question. Although we could say that her grief blinded her and kind of allowed her to play right into Bastion's plan, right? Because her throwing the doctor off of the building, kind of started the whole Sentinel wave, right?
Another loser, Mr. Sinister, to be expected. He is a total bitch.
Whole bitch the entire time.
The entire time. I don't know why his
Phoenix
name is Mr.
showed up.
Sinister. He constantly gets literally cut.
Can we shout out to the Deus Machina that is the Phoenix Force though, because they were looking pretty out to dry, right?
And then
Like,
Phoenix was like, nah, we're not losing to Mr. fucking Sinister.
We're done here.
We're not losing to this guy.
She was like, okay, yeah, Bastion, you can go ahead and
Like,
log
how
off.
does somebody who's so pathetic as a villain have a badass name and aesthetic like Mr. Sinister and just constantly takes L's? Like, this motherfucker is trying like he's Drake, and it is just not working.
I like how you ham the Drake thing in there. No, bro. You gotta love that. You gotta love the Phoenix Force. Bastion really was looking like he was cooking up until.
I do want to say, I did the Chuck guarantee last week, and I gotta say, just like Chuck, I was completely wrong. I was saying Wolverine bone claws through Magneto's chest. Wolverine is still unconscious. We were predicting like a huge Wolverine moment, and we did not expect it to be Wolverine taking a huge L.
Unconscious enough for Morph to be like, man, I gotta tell this nigga now, because I might never get another chance. Bro. Oh, fam.
Which timeline did Morph and Wolverine end up in? Also, alright.
So everybody ended up in the same timeline except for,
Jean and Scott?
Yeah, they ended up in the future, but Magneto, Rogue, Charles,
and they meet
Morph,
Nate Gray, which is the uncorrupted version of Cable.
Yeah, yep.
So that's definitely the Age of Apocalypse timeline.
That's why I'm like, do we think they're gonna like try and retcon the movies here, or?
Well, this is '97, so they don't give a fuck.
I mean,
like they've literally just shown like Omega Red, Doctor Doom, like everybody's fucking there.
and it's T'Chaka, not T'Challa.
Yeah.
Right? Like, you know, that was a big like what?
I love how Doom was like, no, we're not gonna interfere, but we definitely don't fuck with you, Bastion.
Yeah, that Bastion was crazy, bro.
Doom does not approve of your war crimes.
Yeah, I was getting ready to say what happened to Genosha is fucking awful.
Poignant!
Very, very. That's why I was, when they were like bitching about X-Men being woke, and then like we got to episode 5, I was like, oh, you guys asked for it.
Other MVPs of the season?
Woke? Whoa, you haven't seen woke yet, buddy.
MVPs of the season? Beast? Seems like Beast just solved like 3 or 4 problems with like snap of fingers.
I mean, they gave Jubilee her flowers, right? Like, because, you know, she was always kind of made fun of in the animated series for just being like, ooh, sparklers, right? They even said, like, oh, what are you gonna do? Fight me with fireworks? Bastion, and then she blew this nigga Bastion face off. How about that?
When I saw that happen, I immediately thought it. When I saw that happen, I immediately thought of JJK. You're not that far. You'll get it when you get there.
Damn. I'm taking my time with JJK. Hey, JJK is heat though.
It is right. It is great.
It is heat.
Like I just was saying, I just finished my 3rd watch through.
Right.
But the thing is, I always watch anime when I'm going to sleep. So like the first 2 times,
when I'm going to sleep,
like I seem to have missed stuff. And this 3rd time, like I was watching, I'm like, wait, what? This happened? Wait, what? That guy's his dad? Wait, what? JJK is wild though.
Yeah, JJK
like
is
when it, especially like once you get to season 2, because I don't even think you're in season 2 yet.
No.
Season 2, they were like, this budget, like we're ratchet this shit up.
Oh, I can see why. Cause the domain expansion should go crazy, bro. Like when you get to play around like that, you're like, oh nah, we gotta give them the budget to. Really
you hate Mahito right now. Oh, just wait till season 2. You are gonna hate Mahito so much.
You said Mr. Sinister is bitch made. That nigga Mahito is super bitch made, bro. What he did to Yuji's little friend, oh dude, I can't remember his name either. That shit, no, awful.
No, I'm gonna, it's like, at least Mahito does things. Sinister is like, I have this plan. And then the plan immediately falls apart anyways. This portal between Dublin and New York City.
Hey yo. So do you know what the company was that came up with that? Because I saw.
And I know a lot of people have heard about this and ad nauseum, but this is like coming from an Irish Catholic American right here. Like, I knew first and foremost the worst shit was gonna come from Ireland. What did America send? We sent boobs.
Boobs. Great.
One of the things with the highest approval rating on the planet.
Great New York boobs.
Like, let's talk about things with the highest approval rating on the planet, right? Toilets.
That's what we're.
Toilets.
Really?
Boobs.
Really?
Food.
That's
water.
Food. Have you had water yet?
Yo, have you ever tried this thing called food?
It was Dublin.
It was Dublin to New York.
I mean, aside from them sharing photos of the Twin Towers and boobs, it just what did we think was gonna happen?
It was literally a what the fuck did you think was going to happen?
Two of the most egregiously just kind of in your face places that you could have put a portal like that.
Like, let's think about this. People are so crazy obsessed with getting viewers when they're going live. Hi. Can you imagine seeing a camera where you get to see your audience? This is coming from a stand-up comic who begs for an audience?
The project aimed to foster a connection amongst people living thousands of miles apart, transcending borders through art and technology. 24/7 live streaming of passersby in both cities, real-time views of people living across the Atlantic Ocean. The New York City portal, in collaboration with the Simmons Foundation and the Flatiron Nomad Partnership, a department of New York City's transportation arts program, in counterpart with Dublin, Ireland, placed on the historic O'Connell Street. Right? So we've got, two pretty big cultural centers for both sides of the Atlantic.
We discussed, we were talking before you were on you've never actually been to New York City.
No.
I've never my family is from there.
I've never been to Dublin either.
Have you ever, but I'm sure you've seen videos of what Times Square is like. The Flatiron District
obviously
is like 2 blocks away from Times Square.
Yeah. So we're in the Flatiron District.
You not only have natural New Yorkers, but tourists as well.
Yeah. And I mean Dublin, which is a pretty touristy place in Ireland. Right, so I don't know.
Yeah, you have a bunch of Irish Catholic Americans going there.
I don't know how they thought this was going to go, but I'm guaranteeing that if they had taken like a I
think the only other city they could have picked to make it worse would be Munich.
Or like somewhere in Dubai, right?
I mean, it would just be Twin Towers versus swastikas, so if it was Munich. Or Berlin, I guess.
Sounded like a great idea on paper, right? And
very wholesome.
I guess in production it was, right? Like when you look at the USA Today article, it's got photos of people holding up, hearts with their fingers and stuff like that.
And boobs!
But eventually, that led to boobs. Which I don't think is a bad thing. I think...
Like I said, one of the things with the highest approval ratings worldwide.
I think it's once we got to...
It's up there with food and oxygen.
The Twin Towers photos and all of that, it had to immediately get shut down. Immediately get shut down.
I mean, boobs probably ranks higher on approval rating than weed, and that's saying something.
Because weed is so high on the approval rating that Biden, who is looking to raise his approval rating, is seriously reconsidering. Yeah, shout out.
That was good. not even intentional,
I
but
do this. No, that was totally intentional.
no, for me that was like shooting a jumper, hitting the rim, and you're just coming in, slam.
Hey, baby, that's what we do.
Like you're Anthony Edwards.
If you don't know, now you know. The Biden administration is pushing heavily to have marijuana rescheduled to a
Schedule 3.
Schedule 3.
Which is still not the lowest.
No, but it does put it in a place where it can be medically studied, and it allows for more consumer protections, especially
at a federal level.
Especially under medical diagnosis.
Now, the question is, does this mean when we go to the dispensary, when we check our statement, it's going to say an ATM withdrawal?
It could
like
be
that's my biggest thought.
So,
it's like, am I still going to get charged for the rounding up fee and the ATM fee?
That's
because
actually,
like when I go, I get hit for the ATM fee from the dispensary, but also the ATM fee from my own card. So like if I bought a $25 eighth, it would still end up costing me like $38.
So that's actually a perspective that I haven't seen really open and discussed yet, because once we put marijuana in a place where it is no longer held to such a high restriction that
the same as heroin,
that banks can't accept financial transactions, once it becomes financially sustainable, it puts weed into the same market as alcohol, right? And it's even a little different if you have a medical card now, because if it is moved to a Schedule 3, it allows for protections for you not to be fired from your job for having or testing positive for, marijuana use, right? And we've already seen the move in a lot of economic sectors like Amazon and other places where they are taking marijuana off of their testing when it comes to employment.
Let me tell everybody a secret. The reason liquor stores were open during the pandemic was because they were deemed essential workers, because a lot of people would die from alcohol withdrawal otherwise.
I mean, lots of people became alcoholics during the pandemic. I wonder...
But that is a significant reason why they were considered
states
essential workers
who had legal marijuana during the pandemic fared during that time, right? Like,
yeah, because ours didn't get legalized until after the pandemic. Ours got legalized last July.
Did states who already had legal recreational weed see a rise in alcoholism during the pandemic, right? That would be interesting.
These are stats we don't have. These are questions we are asking, though.
But we would have had if marijuana had been rescheduled. Like it is going to be, or potentially it looks like, because once again, let's be real here, Biden's not doing great. He's just barely keeping up with Trump. So much so that they're like, biting at just biting at any instance of Trump slipping up. Like he
Which is crazy, because apparently Trump only lasts a minute and 52 seconds.
And he froze for 30 seconds the other day on stage, and the Biden administration and the Biden campaign team jumped at the bit to try and capitalize on him looking like, he's not mentally cognizant, because they're all trying to make it seem like Biden isn't mentally there, including Jon Stewart, who is catching some heat recently for
being a sane human being.
And being like, neither one of these two should be president. But
you know what we're still going to get as a result? That's right, a presidential debate. We're going to get one for the first time in
legal
over 2 years, and the Biden and Trump campaigns have apparently agreed to it. Now, there are some very important stipulations, which I actually am glad to see. Are you ready? There's 2 major ones.
Okay, what are they?
No audience.
Alright, I'm actually here for that, because an audience would only make this last much longer than it needs to.
Second, the producers cut the mic when the time is elapsed. And when the other is speaking.
I feel like that is
Those are fucking perfect. That is exactly what I would want.
When the other... Okay, I'm glad you rounded that out, because I feel like cutting the mic when time is done is going to be in Trump's benefit, because we all know it takes Biden like an hour to get through a sentence.
Your mic is only on when it's your turn to speak.
But Trump not being able to interrupt Biden while he is trying to gather his thoughts is beneficial.
Audience, and your mic is silent when it is not your turn.
And that's not me saying that Biden can't beat Trump in a debate, right? Like, I think that on substance, this stands to benefit Biden, right?
It does.
Especially on substance. And especially with the caveat that Trump can't interrupt him while he's talking.
This is an example of malicious compliance.
How so?
We know Trump can't follow the rules.
Right.
Look at the gag order. But when there is a literal technological off button.
Right. We're getting close to the end of the Hush Money trial, aren't we?
It was supposed to be speeding along. I know Cohen just got...
The Cohen testimony.
Yeah, the Cohen testimony was done, and I know the prosecution was leaning heavily on, you're doing this for revenge because you don't like Trump, right? And he's like, yeah, no, I really fucking hate Trump, and I am doing this for revenge.
I hate the way you dress.
But that doesn't mean what I did is not...
I hate the way you look. Biden, and they're going, you lied.
It's like, yeah, I'm totally doing this for revenge.
You lied
But
about
why
the
are you
Hush
booing me? I'm right.
You lied about the documents.
Straight up Hannibal Buress. Why are you booing me? I'm right
about the collusion. No, bro. I'm here for a debate. I love to watch two angry old white men argue, especially when it's over like buffet prices or a parking spot. But the presidency should make for even more entertainment, especially when you consider the kind of intense tension that is politics right now. I mean, like, the Senate hearings. What did fucking Marjorie Taylor Greene and Jasmine what is her name?
Marjorie
Jasmine
thought she
Crockett?
got real good going,
Jasmine
oh, your
Crockett.
fake eyelash. And I'm like,
Yo.
I'm sorry. Now you got hit with the beach blonde, bad built butch body? Sitting over there with Matt Gaetz and Lauren Boebert in the 6B Mafia?
No, Lauren Boebert was trying to look so aghast. She was like, oh my god.
Sign of the cross.
What is happening?
Like, bitch,
right
you're
now?
not Catholic.
The dignity. Marjorie Taylor Greene literally says the wildest shit on a regular basis.
And then goes, oh, my words hurt. And then Jasmine responds, and they're like, we need those words stricken from the record. She needs to just cut in and be like, oh, do my words hurt?
Yo. Bam. She tried to come for the eyelashes. And immediately got dogpiled on. And
starting
Lauren,
with AOC,
I just
who wasn't even there for the clapback. She was just the put in place.
To paint the picture for you, bro. Like, she immediately got dogpiled on, right? Like, AOC was like, nah, you ain't even gotta jump in. I'ma handle this shit for you, right? Like, and Lauren Boebert stood in the background and went, oh my god, what's happening? Could you imagine getting jumped in the parking lot and your friend is just standing in the background making the sign of the cross going, hey, I hope you got it.
I can imagine a few of my friends, a few specific friends of mine doing
You need to get better friends. That's what I'm trying to...
You're not one of them.
That's what I'm trying to tell all of my Republican friends. If we have any Republican viewers, please get better friends, because you don't need Laura Boebert.
Some of them are my Republican friends.
And Matt Gaetz's and Marjorie Taylor Greene's backing you up. I promise you, you don't need that, right? You need you an AOC who's going to be like, baby girl. Baby girl?
No, that was Jasmine that pulled the baby girl.
Alright, I'm almost certain that was AOC. Don't get it twisted. The Bronx came out of her, and she was like, hey, yo, look. And
Jasmine Crockett from Texas pulled out that lemonade mode. Thank you for letting me know that Beyonce is from Texas so I can make that reference.
That's crazy. that you didn't know Beyonce was from Texas. No. I don't know where, isn't Marjorie from
Georgia.
Georgia?
I was thinking earlier, there's like the South in America, and then Texas is its own thing.
Well, I feel like you should know that Texas and Georgia have like a pretty historic beef going. Right? Like, Atlanta and Texas both want to be the capitals of the South. Meanwhile, you have Florida and Alabama going.
I mean, I'd always just say that, like, Texas to me is just Texas. Like,
That's
like
just
Texas isn't even the South.
Texas.
It's just Texas.
That is just Texas propaganda. I need you to know that you have fallen victim to Texas. That's what Texas wants you to think. They want you to think that they are their own individual thing, because that is what they've been telling people this
for
entire
200 years.
We were our own country, and we just joined America because you guys made it so that we didn't have to be a part of Mexico. Literally, that's all it is. No disrespect to Texas, though. Shout out to Dallas.
Especially to Dallas.
I'm
here for the debate with those rules. It would just be great to like watch Trump like speaking into and getting no boy just imagine that visual, him ranting into and not hearing a goddamn thing.
Biden and Trump is all I need. Pause. It's just as much of a spectacle as Jake Paul and Mike Tyson to me, because like literally these are two senile individuals who we are like, yeah, no, these guys can run our country. Like, do you guys really think
that they are running the country?
They can run our country?
They are the hand that signs the bill at this point.
I'm not even going there. I'm not quite in tinfoil hat territory yet. What I'm saying is like grounded in reality. Both sides. I'm talking to both sides. This is the second time I've gone Bernie Mac this episode. America. And this time I'm specifically talking to America. I'm not talking to the entire internet. I'm talking to capital A. America.
The subset of Philip DeFranco viewers who are also followers of our show.
Is this your king? Grotesque Patrick Bateman and old man Steve Rogers going at it. These two, this is where we're at. Who gets to run the country into the dirt first?
I just want to say, you mentioned Black Panther. No, you mentioned Killmonger. One of the best things I saw all week was Killmonger is just Dr. Umar with combat skills.
I might push back on that. Because Michael B. Jordan is too. He literally wore Vegeta armor. There's no way.
He also made the high top braids that apparently people fucking hate.
There's no way. It's because fuckboys. Like, that became the immediate, like, fuckboy cut. But there's no way Dr. Umar is cosplaying Vegeta. It's just not happening. So we have old man Steve Rogers and
maybe Android 19.
Fully schizophrenic Patrick Bateman.
Never mind, he'd have to do whiteface.
Running for president. We're all just supposed to accept that this is the best we have to offer. This isn't even Kendrick Lamar and Drake, right? Like, that's a better battle than Joe Biden and Donald Trump. I will die on that hill, on that island. I would rather see Matt Gaetz and Pete Buttigieg run for president. I would rather see that. Can we live in that timeline?
Oh my god, that would literally just be an entire election season of hide your daughters.
I would rather live in that timeline than the one we're in now. Because Donald Trump, Joe Biden 2.0 just feels so not X-Men 97, right? It feels more like the Eternals. Like you should like this because it's everything you've been told to like. But I don't like this. I don't like that Cornel West is somehow a subplot. I don't like that Donald Trump is like doing the Bachelor shit with his vice presidency. Like, I don't like any of that. What are we doing here, America? Do I have to be Jon Stewart meets Bernie Mac? Like, I don't need that. We don't.
Why are we punching Steve Buscemi? That happened. Somebody just randomly punched Steve Buscemi. I get it. Steve Buscemi has a very punchable face, but still. He's had a very punchable face for 30 years, and he's known it.
It's wild. A lot of this, I expected better.
And he really was just a victim of, like, a random celebrity punching.
Like the Kendrick Lamar-Drake beef. I expected better. And I think...
From Drake.
From both sides, actually. I said that last episode. I feel like the fact that it divulged into a gossip fest was not optimal for what the hype behind this. We've had 10 years. We've had since the Controlverse to really like prepare ourselves for this, and then what we got was a shade room gossip fest. Drake might have an 11-year-old daughter, and Kendrick Lamar already told us that he had some issues with his wife, right? Like, that's not bars. I wanted some URL, like, Smackfest Don DeMarco shit, and we didn't get that. We got Shade Room shit, right? I mean, Not Like Us is a banger. Family Matters will definitely age better in time than I think it did, right? Because Meet the Grams was absolutely oppressive, right? The way that it dropped. But I do also feel like this battle is not Ether versus Takeover. It is not Who Shot Ya versus Hit 'Em Up. It is not Second Round Knockout versus, damn, I can't even remember LL Cool J's track. I guess it was Mama Said Knock You Out. It's not the point. If Beef DVD was still a thing, I feel like the way this played out was very 2020, right? It's shit that makes millennials look bad, nigga, because in order to keep y'all niggas entertained, we didn't get bars here, right? What we got was gossip. And I feel like when it comes to the Joe Biden Donald Trump presidential debate, I just hope that it doesn't fall down the same rabbit hole where these niggas are just going, you slept with a porn star. Oh yeah? Well, your son is a fucking crackhead. Because that's what I feel like is coming. And this country y'all deserve better than that. Nigga, bread is like $6.
Can we actually talk about something that is sloppy celebrity gossip then?
Milk is like fucking $6. Gas is like $6. I did that on purpose because I want y'all to know this shit is demonic. Go ahead.
Can we just talk about how funny it is that Tyrese ran off stage to avoid being served?
Now Tyrese knows how Olivia Munn feels. Yeah. If you don't know what that is, go back and check through the archives because we definitely covered it. No.
Olivia Munn didn't have anywhere to run. Tyrese at least had stage right.
Yo, can you imagine Drake canceling a whole concert because somebody is like, hey, yo, we're serving you with child support papers?
Yes. Yes, I can.
Yeah, because he tried to lie about Kendrick Lamar having fake information. Anyway, no, Tyrese running off stage.
It's the most Tyrese fucking thing.
What do y'all want from me?
Like, every time, I cannot take Tyrese Gibson seriously at all.
Yeah, no, I can't. As much as I try to, because it's not funny that, we keep making his pain a joke. But
it's kind of funny.
Running off stage to not get served is pretty funny. Canceling a whole ass concert to not get served has to be one of the most Fast and the Furious things that Tyrese has ever done. What do you think Dom would say about that? Oh,
That's
man.
rejected family.
Do we know what the,
Diaries.
do we know what the papers were for?
I don't even fucking know. I don't
Was
care.
it the child support case? 'Cause
Like, this is one of those headlines where it's like, I don't even really want to click it. It's just the headline is so fucking hilarious.
yeah, that's pretty wild. Almost as wild as what's going on in Iran right now. As of recording, by the time you hear this, we will.
You will have more
probably-
details than we have right now.
if you're live. But as of recording, the Iranian president's helicopter has crashed.
This is the last monkey wrench we need thrown into the Israel-Palestine conflict.
Especially after oh dude, didn't somebody's prime minister just get shot this week?
It was an Eastern.
Belarus?
It was an
Was it-
Eastern Bloc. It was an Eastern Bloc country.
I feel like it was the Belarusian prime minister who got shot earlier this week. And
Is it Belarusian or Belarusian?
semantics. I don't like the World War III narrative. I feel like people are really itchy for a global conflict, and I'm like, did we not
have enough of an intense global conflict with the pandemic?
with COVID? With COVID, right? COVID was simple.
Yeah, but this one has guns.
That's what I'm saying. COVID was simple. It was literally stay in your house, don't cough on people. And you guys couldn't handle that.
Yeah, Rudy Gobert.
What the fuck do y'all think is gonna pop off if World War III really it's
My friend messaged me, is like, have fun getting drafted. And I'm like, look, dude, I'm 32. I am too tall, too skinny, too crazy, and too blind to get drafted. The last thing they want me is holding a gun.
They'll put you behind a drone, dummy. Are you kidding me? Warfare is not the same anymore. That's why I'm not particularly interested in World War III. Because
Phil
we
did
don't
do a
know
huge piece
what
on it.
this is going to look like.
Check out Philip DeFranco's piece he released
out-
he did a great piece on.
Check out Robert Evans. He has a podcast called It Can Happen Here. It is about what a conflict in the United States, particularly a civil war kind of conflict, but in general, what a conflict in the United States would look like in today's day and age. And what I can tell you is one of the things about America that is strategically advantaged is we are in the middle of two huge bodies of water. Right, so a boots on the ground kind of conflict is not
gonna happen.
realistic. Unless it follows an infrastructure takeover. Some strategic targets knocked out.
Hi, Ted.
Hardware hacked, which has already happened. High solar wind.
I'll tell you straight up, if World War III does stop, we'll stop ordering from Amazon.
This is not... what the fuck?
What's in the box?
What's in the box? What's in the fucking box?
This is not Red Dawn, right? We're not in Cold War territory. This is closer to Minority Report. We are at a point where the United States government is considering banning TikTok because of psyops, right? Because of data collection.
And for people who have been on this pod enough, we're not huge fans of legitimate psyop claims.
The new gold standard is data collection, right? The United States government has already done a considerable job at destabilizing its own economy. What the fuck do you think boots on the ground would do? No, at this point, what they need to do is
Well, let's think about it. The places that they would land first, they're either hitting L.A. or the Northwest, or Alaska, But
it's not that.
But like,
they're gonna
hit either the Chad route, or they're gonna have all of the gangs, or they hit the East Coast, where they either land in Florida.
Nope, it's not that. They'll literally hit the fucking, like, they will hit the infrastructure. They will hit the power grids. They will hit our ISPs. They will destabilize our comfort zone so that we take ourselves out, which we are already fucking doing. And then, once we have kind of neutralized ourselves, then they will come in and clean up the job.
You know,
my point.
The biggest experiment of America is being able to govern this vast a body of this many types of people.
Diverse.
In this dense of a population.
We
relative to somewhere like Russia, who has the largest landmass, and yet 90% of their population is centered on the border of Europe.
It's also very culturally homogenous. If you look at all of these successful populations out there, right? Most of them have one thing in common, and it is cultural homogeny. The United States has existed as a powerhouse, as diverse as it is, and that is the example beating the rule, right? Like, but now what we have is an insane power grab based on a economic destabilization that has kind of been done on purpose, right? Because, like, at its core, if you really look at what is happening to the U.S. system of capitalism, it is the power grab that's going on, right? Like, you have the tech sector fighting for control over the U.S. stock exchange, and you have the old money system, which is like electricity, steel, oil, like those industries, like the old money industries fighting to maintain the existence that they have. And in the middle, we are suffering the stagnation of what should be our economic development, right? I saw a post on TikTok the other day that said, Japan isn't living in the future, you're just living in the United States, right? I want that to sink in for a second. Like, if anybody is actually, like, if for anybody who's live with us, and for our listeners, high-speed rail is a thing that exists in all of the developed places throughout the world except for the United States. Universal healthcare is a thing that exists in all of the developed places throughout the world except the United States.
Do you know how many people I know that don't know Baltimore actually has a subway system?
The rest of the world isn't living in the future. We are just suppressed. And I don't know how to say this without sounding like a proletariat, but the fact that Donald Trump can brag about being in debt and not paying taxes for 10 years, and a whole sector of our population thinks that that guy should be our president when he's contributing to the problem. The fact that Joe Biden can look black people in the face and say they're not black if they don't vote for him, even though he led the crime bill that locked up a whole bunch of people for marijuana charges, which he is now trying to reconstruct the narrative on in order to boost his poll numbers. The fuck? That's a fucking problem, bro. And we're literally like, those are the only two options for our country. That's insane. That's insane. We really have to look at the United States at this point and say, like, what are we doing here? Like, when I brought up the Diddy and Cassie tape earlier, and I was like, it's crazy that that shit is everywhere. It's just as crazy to me that Joe Biden and Donald Trump are the only fucking options we have for the future of this country. And nobody else seems to be making that argument. Everybody else seems to be saying, like, no, that's fine. These are the captains of our team. And when people do say that, like Jon Stewart, they get chastised and criticized. There is something to be said about this narrative and the clear direction that this country is moving, and we were talking about it off mic. But I do think that wokeism has been gentrified in a way that makes it seem like a bad thing, right? A regression in progress of cultural acceptance seems like an advantage at this point compared to the overcorrection that is social justice. That's wild. That's wild that comedians, of all people, the people that we on this podcast have pedestaled as the philosophers of our time.
And people that I interact with regularly.
I mean, we interact with regularly, right? You can catch us doing stand-up in Baltimore if you are local on a regular basis.
Me more often than Doc. That's just me trying to subtle nod him, subtle nod him and doing more.
We both have placed comedians on this pedestal where they are kind of like the cultural arbiters at the moment, right?
There is, like I've said before, there is that shield of being a comedian.
That shield, though, is now being used to push this narrative that social justice and wokeness are the enemy. And I do think, as we covered in the episode about comedy, right? Fascism also uses and co-ops comedy as a disengaging tool to kind of make social justice look like the bad guy. And yeah, you can point out the fucking pixie cut lesbian in Starbucks going off on some social justice narrative.
Don't forget, she has purple hair too.
As a Karen, right? And say that, you know, these things are just going too far and we can't make jokes about... And it fucking Seinfeld, right? Fucking Seinfeld, who we both sat and, you know, commended for being in that talk with Chris Rock and The Office.
Steve Carell?
British version.
Ricky Gervais
and Louis C.K. and they were talking about the N-word, and Seinfeld was the only one that had the balls to say, I just don't think that we should be saying it as white people. He can also go up on stage and complain about wokeism, right?
His biggest thing lately has been supporting Israel. That's why all of the Duke students walked out on him.
Complaining about wokeism. Wokeism is supporting Palestine, right? Wokeism is not blindly falling behind October 7th, right? Wokeism is ignoring the fact that Jerry Seinfeld consistently dates women younger than him.
Yeah, no, the whole 17-year-old thing definitely popped up a lot.
Who do you think Jerry Seinfeld had in the Drake versus Kendrick beef? It's definitely Wale. Yo. No, for real though. Like, when I see comedians do this whole thing of, you know, the political justice has just gone too far and you can't tell jokes now, I'm like, I feel like maybe your jokes just suck.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
yeah. Maybe you're just a bad comedian.
It's not 2003 anymore. This isn't Dude, Where's My Car? You can't just do fucking hacky Indian jokes or like racial stereotype jokes, Chris Rock, and fall, and like people will fall for it. Like, we both watched Chris Rock's live stand-up special together, and when he did the whole bit about him being single and wanting to date like his daughter's teachers or whatever the fuck it was. That shit was cringy. And it's not because the world is woke now. It's because that joke was fucking cringy. Like, I don't know how else to put it to people. And it's not because Zoomers are just too fucking sensitive.
And it's not because Chris Rock is a bad comedian either. It was a lazy joke. As a comedian, I understand what is a lazy joke. I have a few of them myself.
Write better material.
Yeah, and I mean,
better
like,
material.
like those lazy jokes are useful at times when you have, when it comes to reading a room, or like sometimes that lazy joke, like one of the.
We all still laugh at Beavis and Butthead.
Well, like one of the lazy jokes I know I can tell is the me using the gender neutral bathroom joke.
Right.
Where I'm like, you know, gender neutral bathrooms, I'm fine with it.
Joke.
I'm fine.
It's a joke.
I'm fine with it, but it's weird being taller than the medians in the stands. So I'm either a creep or I have to sit on a public toilet. It's a no-win situation.
It's a joke. It's a joke. It's a joke.
Yeah.
It is a literal joke argument that they came up with to distract you from the real shit that they are trying to sneak through while we are arguing about who can use the bathroom. As a 90s baby, shout out to the 90s baby.
Holla!
As a 90s baby, it's crazy to me to watch Gen Xers fall for this shit because, and I'm gonna put a lot of the weight on y'all's shoulders because you guys saw the media that we grew up with, but were able to watch it with the lens of maturity. We have all been primed for this shit.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how many times we have to talk about, like, fucking, the character archetype is as simple as Patrick Bateman.
Yeah.
Both presidents could be looked at as Patrick Bateman archetypes, right? One much more so than the other. I will let you all be the judge of that. But the fact that we are here, when it is clearly obvious what we need, and we are being told to focus on other things, that's where I have this disconnect, right? Because I can't be the only one. I can't be the only one who goes, who the fuck cares who's using the same bathroom as I am if the Baltimore Bridge is collapsing? I can't be the only one who cares more about that. Like, it's insane to me that people are still going, yeah, but trans people are reading books to children.
I mean, I was...
When they're, like, your information is literally being leaked on a daily basis. Your social security card has been compromised by the 3 main credit agencies that run our economy. And you're like, yeah, but men in wigs are reading fucking Llama Llama Red Pajama to my fucking 4-year-old, and that bothers me.
You know, I'm really upset because right now I only have 2 total distraction type topics left.
I hope somebody...
We need like a moment of silence to let the levity of all that sink in.
I have to go pee anyway, so it's fine.
And we have 2 more topics to cover, starting with sports updates
music
with Ziggy featuring Doc.
Cue Wii Sports music.
The NBA Conference Finals have been finalized as of 20 minutes ago on day of recording, and that is going to be the Minnesota Timberwolves, led by Anthony Edwards, versus the Dallas Mavericks, led by Luka Doncic and Kyrie Flat Earth Irving.
So how are you feeling about this matchup?
I think it's going to be an exciting matchup, and I actually kind of hope for the spectacle of it, I want the Mavericks to win because Luka and Kyrie are amazing. But as from the bias side, considering the Eastern Conference Finals are the Boston Celtics versus the Indiana Pacers, I obviously want the Celtics to win.
After watching the Nuggets-Wolves game, I mean, 98-90, the game was slow. I'm not really impressed by either one of the performances of the two teams.
The Wolves' defense is really good. Really good.
Yeah, and I guess that maybe that's what made it a slow game. Both teams had comparable defenses, right? You know, that's usually what makes a low-scoring game.
Yeah.
Right? I just don't know how I see this playoff going. Right? Like,
Well,
I don't know
Boston-
how I see this championship.
All right, so here's how I see it. If Boston doesn't make it to the finals, it's going to be seen as a colossal failure.
Especially after having what you claim was such an easy cakewalk.
Yeah, they had to play against Miami without Jimmy Butler.
Right.
Then they had to play against Cleveland, where the last two games were without Donovan Mitchell. Literally the two most important players for each of those teams.
So we are looking at either...
And now we're playing against the Pacers, who, while they have one of the fastest and best offenses in the league, they also have, like, one of the worst defenses in the league.
So
and you
we
know
are-
what? Boston is up there in the top for both.
So we are looking at either Timberwolves Celtics or Timberwolves Pacers.
So there are four possibilities.
Four more possibilities?
Four possibilities. So it's either Celtics versus the Mavericks.
Oh, okay.
It's
All
the
right.
Celtics versus the Wolves. Or it's the Pacers versus the Mavericks.
Or Pacers versus...
Or Pacers versus Wolves. And I will say, if the Pacers beat the Celtics somehow, the Pacers will definitely not be favored.
How likely do you think it is that the Mavericks will win?
To get to the finals, it's a pretty good bet. Luka Doncic is one of the three best players on the planet.
And they are up against the Timberwolves after this?
Who also has one of the 5 or 6 best players on the planet.
Right. In your eyes, you ultimately, unbiasedly, see the Pacers-Celtics game going to the Celtics.
Yes, unbiasedly, but also rooting for the Celtics.
Also biasedly.
Yeah.
What is your dream matchup here?
For entertainment value, I want to see Celtics versus the Mavs. Because I think that would just be an incredibly exciting series.
Yeah.
I want the Celtics to win the title.
Right.
I want the Celtics to play against the Wolves. Because I have watched Luka hit at least 2 game winners against the Celtics from, like, way beyond the arc. And I'm like, I don't want anything to do with that.
So you feel like if it goes Celtics versus Mavericks, that ultimately Mavericks will edge it out.
I feel like the Celtics are favored, but a lot less favored than they would be against the Timberwolves.
It's interesting. It's interesting to say the least, right? I like.
And here's the thing: why I feel bad about Boston. You know how everybody's like home court advantage is a huge deal.
Yeah.
For the past like 4 years, Boston is like 15-15 at home.
So it doesn't matter with Boston, right? What really matters is just the performance.
And if Kristaps Porzingis can get back on the court.
How likely do we feel like that is to happen?
I'm sure they are doing all Kryptonian science possible to get him on the fucking floor.
All right.
Are you kidding me? Boston hasn't won a championship since 2008. So long ago I couldn't say the year with a 20 in front.
I mean, you still could have said
2008? I would sound crazy.
All right. In other sports news.
Oh, I don't have other sports news unless you consider hunting a sport. Yoshihiro Togashi be cooking. He be cooking, yo. He's straight up cooking. Motherfucker's written like 5 chapters of Hunter x Hunter in 3 weeks. He's cooking, motherfucker.
So,
cooking.
Okay. If you could give your estimate, how likely do you think we are from the first drop?
From the first drop? I'm not sure, but I guarantee you there will be a first drop soon. Because
By
if he's
soon,
already...
do you mean the end of the year, or...
Oh, absolutely by the end of the year.
You think by the end of the year?
Absolutely by the end of the year. I'm guessing, like, based off of what I've seen Togashi been doing, so,
this
like...
isn't Rockstar.
Togashi is, like, drawing up his shit, and... like, all of the major mangaka have apprentices that, like, have mastered their style and everything. So, like, once he just, like, scribbles up the fucking pages, you know, he gives it to his apprentices, and his apprentices
once he
fill
gets
it in.
the reference tracks ready, in hip-hop.
Yeah.
No, I get it. By the end of the year, you think we will see a new Hunter x Hunter track.
Yeah, and if Togashi keeps cooking like this, yo, we might, maybe, actually, potentially, someday... hear the end of this series. The real one. Not the one where it's just like, Grandpa Goat was a great hunter!
But
Togashi is cooking! Literally, every single time I open Twitter. Every single time I open
when you
Twitter.
showed me the tweets, I'm just like, the corners of the rulers
with Sharpie numbers on the bottom. And I'm like, this is the greatest tweet I've seen all day. Like, every single time. It's like, literally, just 3 pages with numbers on them, and it's like 450,000 likes. Because you know what it means. When he's writing the manga, the chances that the anime returns increases. And the only reason the anime hasn't come back is because there is not enough source material to justify another season.
I was gonna go there, but I didn't want to be the guy who was like, okay, so how long before the anime comes back, right?
I'm pretty sure every single person related or associated with the anime is like foaming at the mouth for there to be enough for a season.
But the fact that they didn't Game of Thrones it, right? Like, and they didn't just, fill in the spaces where...
It would have been a crime. It would have been an absolute
to be filled
crime to have done that. Togashi is also not that stupid to let them do that.
I mean...
If Togashi is going to get lazy and ruin his own story, he's going to have Yusuke become the Mazuku.
I am... So
I still love the David World arc, but he definitely just Deus Ex Machina that with, yeah, Yusuke is the Mazuku.
As I said, JJK made me want to delve back into manga, and I haven't read a manga since GTO. But the way you guys are hyped over the return of Hunter x Hunter, I might pick it up.
I love that anime so much. I have read some of the manga. Togashi really does have a cool art style that does come through in the anime, and his writing really is ridiculous. And I also get the memes where they're like, I don't know why Hunter x Hunter takes so long to come out when 3/4 of the pages is text.
I feel like with the rise of AI and nothing on the internet being authentic anymore, physical medium is bound to make a comeback, and this is coming from somebody who collects vinyl.
And the fact that Yoshihiro Togashi has written 5 chapters in 3 weeks is just proof that none of this is normal. But what should be normal is buying all of your Yu-Gi-Oh!, Pokemon, Magic the Gathering, Flesh and Blood, board games, and card game supplies at tokenfgg.com and using the promo code Ziggy to get 10% off of your order.
And if you guys give us enough engagement, you might make videos normal on YouTube, but you can still find us at the Flood Pod on everything.
And that is on everything. And a special shout out to our patrons, Enraged Peacock, And Chow Garden.
We'll see y'all next week with more pop culture and hot takes.
Deuces!
Look, it's a flood.
The flood.
It's flooding.
Get away.
Quick, we need to get to higher ground.
Open the floodgates.
Wait, why can't we talk about
It
black
is
stuff?
time to